Prince Albany of Scotland is saying, I'm a steward and I'm supposed to have the throne. And he said that Prince Charles has taken it from him.
He could be right. Okay.
Wow.
There may be a civil war brewing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But here, let's get to some more. A great nation and a company of nations. Can the Jews be described as a company of nations? What about the Commonwealth of Britain? What about the Commonwealth of Canada? What about the 50 United States? Aren't those companies of nations?
Yeah, and a lot of people in Europe don't understand this is not the United States of Europe.
Because the Jews are doing this. But even Germany was, how many independent city-states before it was confederated into Germany? Okay.
And it really should be thought of over here is that it's not we don't think of us as a group like we used to think about. We think of America as a whole when really it's a company of a bunch of independent republics.
That's right. Exactly. It's a company of nations, just as this prophecy states. Genesis 17:4, 5, 15, and 16. So if you want to go to Genesis chapter 7, you can read it for yourself. Okay. Number 3. That the Israelites would be a multitudinous seed. There would be so many of us that you couldn't count them. But now the Jews, they always seem to have 6 million.
Well, they're going to try and count us here real soon, with the census.
And the Jews have always been a minority in whatever country they live. So they have not been a company of nations by any stretch of the imagination. And until the founding of the bastard state of Israel, they had no nation whatsoever, did they?
No, they didn't.
Okay, so they can't possibly fulfill either one of these prophecies.
So it's really interesting who gave them that. But go ahead with the prophecy. Go ahead with the
right. Well, the British mandate turned Palestine over to the Jews. They never should have done that. Okay, and that fulfills another prophecy, but we don't have time to get into that. Okay, mark number 4 that the Israelites would be a leading nation in the world. Of course, we already have Britain. Mm-hmm. We have America, we have Germany, and in fact Lithuania and Sweden. They all had their day in the sun, okay? Italy, Spain, they all had their chance at greatness, okay? But they, through changes in history, they lost it, okay? And right now, we're definitely in the end times. America is losing its prominence thanks to being infiltrated by Jews, okay? Mark number 5, a mighty seagoing people. Genesis 22:17. When did the Jews ever have a navy? When were the Jews ever a seagoing people? Never. They were always living in cities.
Okay. And you're using the word Jews as opposed to Israel because we're talking about, so kind of give us real quick again who we're calling Jews so that we'll understand that these people never had a navy.
Yeah, right. The Jewish people are descended first from the Sepharvaim, the Sephardic Jews, which are only about 5% of the Jewish population today. They're the ones who lived in Palestine next door to the Israelites and next door to Judah, okay? After the Israelites were taken captive.
But they weren't really Israelites then.
They weren't. They never were. Okay. And they are not now, and they never will be.
Okay. But then
they are imposters.
But then the Sephardic people that lived there next door got hooked up with another group?
Well, the Sephardic Jews, they descended from Canaan. And Esau, who had his name changed to Edom, basically gave his name to the Canaanite people. And those Canaanite people lived alongside the Israelites for a couple of thousand years, okay? But when the Israelites... But the 10 tribes were taken captive, and then the 2 tribes of Judah were taken captive. That left that area vacant. The Sepharvaim moved in, and the Edomites took over for the 70-year hiatus in which the house of Judah was gone in Babylon. Okay,
so would that have been? Now they came. Where did they come from?
They lived in Edom and Sepharvaim. The Sepharvaim came from Babylon.
Oh, okay. All right.
The territory. Sepharvaim was right alongside Babylon. Okay, so these are Babylonian Edomites and Canaanites. They are not Israelites by any stretch of the imagination. Now that only covers 5% of modern Jewry today. The other 95%, by their own admission, are Khazars. who are a combination of Japheth, Hittite, and Mongol genetics. Okay?
Oh, so that would have been from the area we call the Khazarian Empire area?
Khazaria, exactly.
Khazaria.
And that's where your Rothschilds come from. That's where communism came from. That's where Zionism came from. It was these Khazar Jews who are not even Shemites. They're neither Shemites, Hebrews, Israelites, or Judahites. They're utterly unrelated. They never even lived in the territory called Palestine.
So they didn't even live in Palestine, but they're the lion's share of who's calling themselves Jews.
That's right. So
now, is there a split? Is it a split between the ones that were living in the area, which we would call the Edomite, and the Ashkenazi, or they kind of fight each other?
There was, not anymore. When the Ashkenazi Khazar Jews, otherwise known as Zionists, first invaded Palestine, the Sephardic Jews who had been living there in peace alongside the Palestinian Arabs for the last 2,000 years, they resisted Zionism. They resisted Zionism, okay? But the Zionists, the Rothschilds, with all their money, said to these Sephardic Jews, primarily to the rabbis, here, shut up and take this money. Okay? Stop complaining.
It seems like to me that we don't really see too much about a Khazarian empire in our history books. I guess they don't want you to know about them.
In the early 20th century, when the Khazar Jews moved to America, they bought up the publishing houses that printed the encyclopedias, and they gradually removed all the articles about the Khazars from every succeeding issue. In fact, a friend of mine who was a history teacher in grade school for 30 years, I told him about the Khazars, and he says, Eli, that's ridiculous. I never heard of the Khazars. There can't be any such people. And I said, just go online, type the word Khazar, Khazar, into your browser, and you will get all kinds of articles about the subject. Okay? But you're absolutely right. They erased the history of the Khazar people because the Jews don't want you to know that they're Khazars, not Israelites.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well, let me tell you this. We're getting close to our top of the hour, and I'm going to have you go through the rest of these marks of Israel. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I want to save the prophetic part and some more information about this fight between these aliens and the people called the Adamic race, or the Israel, and for the next maybe the next time if you can come on.
Right. And how much longer do we go today?
Well, we can go any amount of time it takes to get through the marks. So you just keep right on.
So we'll go through all 20 marks, and then I have to prepare for another show in a couple of hours. Okay. So are we going to take a break at the top of the hour or no? No,
just keep right on going.
Okay. All right. Very good.
We cancel that out, Hans, and we'll just keep going.
Okay, very good. All right, so we were at a mighty seagoing people, which Isaiah 28:11. If anybody wants to look it up in your Bible, it's right there at Isaiah 28:11. And then Mark number 22:17. I'm getting ahead of myself. Numbers 24:7, Deuteronomy 33:13, Psalms 89:25, Isaiah 65. All of these talk about Israelites being a mighty seagoing people. Okay, now number 6. That was number 5. Number 6, Israel to have a new language. That's Isaiah 28:11.
Oh, really?
And of course, yes. And
so they weren't going to talk Hebrew.
They weren't going to talk Hebrew. And of course, we talked about the fact that the first wave migrated across the Mediterranean up into England and Ireland. Well, what language are those people speaking today?
I don't know what we're speaking.
English. It's called English. Okay. But English is largely derived from German. So English is really a cross between Hebrew and German. And we'll talk about the German migration before we end the show today, okay? Because I want to tie in all 3 waves. So the first wave was the Egyptian wave, pre-Exodus wave. The second wave was the Phoenician wave, from which the Cymru, the Welsh, brought the Hebrew language from Palestine to Wales, okay? Plus other